hace muchos años, colabora con la RAE, es miembro de la RAE, participa de directorio, tiene un cargo en la región, ha participado mucho con nosotros, todos los años viene a colaborar con nosotros, así que le encanta venir acá, colabora mucho con las escuelas, con los branch, así que, bueno, adelante los.
Hola, Argentina. How is everybody? Good?
Good.
Can you understand my English okay? Well, more or less, right? So, we're going to talk a lot today about energy audits, the standards behind energy audits, and some publications. And then at the very end, we'll do some calculations. And that'll all be fun. So, I hope you're ready. We're going to have a good time. Here we go. So, let's start off with something very simple, like a definition, right? So you can define an energy audit as an inspection, survey, and analysis of energy flows, energy conservation of building processes, or any kind of systems associated with energy use, energy conservation, etc. Energy efficiency is always very difficult. We like to say it's an uphill struggle because so many times it's a very difficult concept to sell because you usually have to spend money before you save the money. So a lot of times it's very difficult to make it happen. But when it does, it's very good. We also like to say that you cannot control what you cannot measure. So a long time ago, it was very expensive to measure things, but now for electric and gas, metering and sub-metering is very inexpensive. You can spend only a little money to put in a lot of meters and sub-meters in a building so that you can understand exactly where your energy is being used. And that becomes very important when you're trying to conserve energy. You have to know where you're using the energy. So, in ASHRAE we use a lot of acronyms. I'll use a lot of them today, but I just want you to know they all mean the same thing. So when I say an ECM, an ECO, ERD, and whatever, they all mean the same. They're a way that we do something to save energy. So let's talk about some publications. Of course, my all-time favorite is the HVAC controls book. We use controls to save energy all the time. Secondly, this is the procedures for building energy audits. This has been the Bible for ASHRAE performing audits for many years, and it still has the procedures in it. And then from that publication, we ended up using it to create the energy audit standard, ASHRAE Standard 211-2018. Very young, but very good. As with all ASHRAE standards, it took 2.5 years to make it. But it is very good, and it tells you exactly what you need to do in order to make a good energy audit. So, let's talk a little bit about standards, right? Standards in ASHRAE always tell you what the minimum work, the minimum information, the minimum practice that you have to do in order to meet that standard. Standards are consensus documents. They take a long time to make because we always have to make sure that all materially affected parties are considered. And that's why standards are minimum level documents. So, if somebody tells you, oh, well, I met the standard or I met the code, that's really great. It's not great. Okay? It's not great because it prescribes the rules and regulations for you to do the worst possible building you ever could. So it is the least safe, the least energy efficient, the least thing you can do to make the standard. So when somebody tells you, oh, this is a great thing because I met the standard, you're only making the minimum requirements. So for ASHRAE, we want you to meet the standard, but we also want you to go beyond the standard and do more. So, I like to talk about, so, breaking news, right? I want to give you some breaking news. First of all, I want to introduce to you Daryl Boyce, our current ASHRAE president. ASHRAE presidents start in July 1 and end in June 30. Daryl is well on his way to completing his term, and then what presidents do get my pen to work here. What presidents do in their year is they have what they call a theme. That theme is what, in their presidency, they want to put a focus on for all members to pay attention to. And Daryl says his theme is building for people and performance, achieving operational excellence, which of course helps us out a lot when it has to do with energy audits, energy conservation, and things like that. He also promotes all of the energy conservation measures and all the ideas for energy conservation that we all have in ASHRAE. Daryl actually has been a facility manager for most of his career in a large university in Canada. So, net zero energy buildings are possible, they're very possible, and they're all over the place, right? And what I want to do is just run through a couple buildings here, just so you can see that around the world, there are so many net zero energy buildings that are being done before now, and being planned for the future. And this is just a few of them. I have hundreds of buildings that I could show you, but obviously we're not going to do that now. I just want to show you a few, give you some information on them so you see what they're all about, see what kind of parameters they do, and we can have net zero energy buildings anywhere. We can have them here, we can have them in Colombia, in Uruguay, in Brazil, anywhere we can devise a way to save energy, we can have net zero energy buildings. This is, the next one's really funny, right? I found an apartment building in New York City that actually is net zero. Apartments that people live in and pay rent, and they're able to subsidize the cost of their rent because their utility bills are so much less. I also like to introduce to you a short video that ASHRAE has about net zero energy buildings. It doesn't do any talking, it's all about looking at it, but it shows you graphically and with music how simple it is to start the design on a net zero energy building and complete it in a very short period of time. So sit back, relax, it's only a couple minutes. That was quick.